in the echo of history, where the dust of battles past still lingers in the air. I recount the tale that has clawed its way through the ages to nestle in the darkest corners of my memory. My name is Gannicus, and while many a man's life is but a whisper in the grand tapestry of time, my existence has been a speck of dust in the void of a world that knew only the cruelty of steel and the taste of blood. Such is life in these barbarian times. The empire would rise and fall like a hungry cock. I never knew my mother, only my father. And even then, he treated me like a slave who owed him blood. Perhaps I was the son of a whore or a salve as well. By the time of my birth, countless villages were burned to the ground. From Thrace to the land in the north, only a handful of people have yet lived. They were isolated from each other and left to rise or fall on their own. I was not born to the clatter of swords or the roar of the Roman crowd. My first breath was drawn in the shadow of the mighty Tagetus, where the men of Sparta raised their sons to embrace war as a lover. To protect myself, I relied on the strength of my arm. It was a hard lesson my father taught me, and perhaps it was the only thing he ever imparted on me. To protect myself, I relied on the strength of my arm. These were dark times, but fate is the weaver of ironies, and it was not under the Laconian sun that I found my destiny, but in the suffocating darkness of Roman servitude. Stripped of honor, I was cast into the pits where men were but beasts, baying for a scrap of glory in the bloodied sands of the arena. The era was a crucible of empires, a dance of power from the 6th to the 2nd century BCE. It was a time when the clashing of shields and the trampling of conquests were as common as the rising sun. But in the confines of my imprisonment, time had no meaning, save for the drawn-out moments between life and death as the gladiator's fate played out before a baying audience. As a slave, I bore the marks of Rome's dominion. But within me raged the spirit of a Spartan, a spirit that would not be quelled by chains or the jeers of the capricious mob. At the age of 27, I survived my first execution in the gladiatorial arena. At the time, Caesar himself was impressed by my accomplishment. I single-handedly vanquished 3 foes. It's no mere feat, trust me when I say that. My fate was already sealed. And in the thrust of battle, a man can lose his sanity just like that. I fought, not for their pleasure, but for a whisper of the freedom that had been torn from my grasp. Each victory in the arena was a hollow reminder of the life that was no longer mine to claim. But there was another battle, one far more insidious than those waged under the open sky. It was a struggle of the mind, where the line between reality and illusion was as fine as the edge of a gladius. One evening, I began to feel my mind slipping into the abyss. I was plagued by visions that danced at the periphery of my sight. I began to question the solidity of my world. The maddened cries of fallen brethren seemed to echo in the stillness, a chorus only I could hear. The Romans spoke of their gods with reverence, but in the depths of my torment, it was not the divine that I encountered, but the diabolical. They said it was the devil that played tricks on the minds of men, leading the weak to their doom. I wondered then if I was the plaything of such malevolence, a toy for the amusement of darker forces. When I stepped into the arena, I saw creatures of the underworld before me. Each of them felt like they hungered for my flesh. One I was keen on keeping till the very end. They were fierce in combat, but I was wary of their methods. I managed to cut one's head clean with my sword, and the other creature bit my leg. The foul creature knew no bounds. I used my shield to knock it off balance, but the wound was deep, and I was beginning to lose vision. I stood there, waiting for the creature to attack, and it did just that. As I looked into its demonic eyes, I swear by the gods I saw Rome in flame. Perhaps a bad omen for times to come, but if I were to live to see the end of the day, I would need to vanquish this foe. I closed my eyes, and by the time I reopened them, the creature was dead. Its blood was spilled on the sand. The crowd immediately stood in the wake of my victory. They were thankful for my kill. I have freed them from a creature of the night. My throat was parched. It almost felt like I had been working in the field for days. My muscles were sore, and my bones ached. I could barely hold my sword, let alone walk. But the feeling of recognition gave me hope. With every kill, I was closer to my goal. As the years wore on, the visions grew more potent. I saw the spectral forms of my ancestors, garbed in the panoply of war, their eyes hollow with accusation. They spoke not with words, but with the silence of judgment. Their very presence was a reminder of the honor I had been forced to forsake. In my solitude, I came to know the whispers of madness and the insidious doubts that gnaw at the soul. The devil in my head showed me the futility of hope, the endless cycle of blood and sand that would culminate in nothing but oblivion. Yet, amidst this cacophony of despair, I clung to a singular truth. I was Gannicus, son of Sparta, and though my body might be broken, my spirit would soar free. In the end, it was not the glint of the arena's light that brought me release, nor the adulation of the crowd. It was a moment of quiet defiance, a refusal to bow to the specters of my torment. I had embraced the madness, let it wash over me like the waves of the Aegean until there was nothing left but the clarity of the storm's eye. And so I stand, a relic of a time long past, a whisper of history's horror. The devil may yet claim another victim.